Namaste, everybody. Welcome back to our weekly sadhana of Soundarya Lahari. We had an amazing sloka last week, sloka number 27, which is the Kilakam of the Soundarya Lahari, and which is the entire application of whatever we are supposed to do in one sloka Bhagavad Pada mentioned. Followed by that is another powerful sloka, sloka number 28. Om Shri Matre Namah. May Devi's blessings be with you all, always. With that, we can move on to the next sloka, which is sloka number 28. The gist of this sloka is that it is talking about polar opposites. The summary is Brahma, Indra, and all the gods had Amṛta. Even after having the Amritam, at the time of dissolution, at the time of the Mahā Pralayam, Mahā Samharesmin, we learned that in the previous sloka, they all end. There is a beginning and the end for that. So it may be a little bit more years, trillion years after, but still there is an end for all these devatas. But on the other hand, the one who actually drinks poison, which is Shiva, who had that Halahala poison or the Kalakutam during the time of the Samudra Manthana, he is eternal. How can that is possible? It's showing the opposites. So that is what this sloka is dealing with. And Shankaracharya would say why that is happening. Of course, it has to be because of Devi. Devi's Mahimā. So we'll see what that Mahimā is. The secret of Shiva's immortality. Shiva is known as Mrityunjaya. So the one who defeated death, who is beyond death, is Mrityunjaya. So that is another name for Shiva. So the word goes, Sudhamapyaswadya. Sudha api aswadya becomes Sudhamapyaswadya. Pratibhaya jara mrityu harinim. Vipatyante vishve. Vitishadamakadya divishada. Karalam yachvelam. Kabalitavada kalakalana. Na shambhos tanmulam. Tava janani Tāṭaṅka Mahimā. Very beautiful words. So let's start with the first one. Sudha api aswadya. Sudha is Amritam, the nectar of immortality. Api, yet. Aswadya. Aswadya means drink or eat with relishingly, enjoying or savoring. Aswadya. Pratibhaya jara mrityu harini. Pratibhaya is against terrifying aspects of what? Of jara and mrityu. Jara is aging and mrityu is death. So harini means finding that immunity from the fear generating jara and mrityu, the aspect of aging and death. Vipatyante vishve. Vipatyante means perish at the time of Mahā Samharesmin. Vipatyante vishve. Vishve means here Vishwam, all, everything. Viti Shadamakadya. Viti is Lord Brahma. Shadamakha is actually the name for Indra. Shadamakha, a literal meaning means the one who did the 100 fire sacrifice, the yajna. Shata means 100. So those who did the 100 fire sacrifice, which is Indra. So Indra, again, it's not a person's name, it's a position's name, like a president or prime minister, like that. So we saw the Kala Chakram, right? So each of these Manvantara, there are Indra, there are Manus, and there are Rishis, Brahma, everybody, right, during that time frame. Now, in order to appoint that person, has to have some quality. So this Shadamakha is a quality. Indra would have done that 100 fire sacrifices. Then only he becomes an Indra. The reason why the different names are used is that here it means that they are very powerful, very viryam. Viti, the name used for Brahma here, is that the Brahma is the one who is deciding the destinies of other, right? He is the one who is creating everything. So everybody's destiny is created by Brahma. So he is very powerful. And same thing with Indra. So those are two powerful people. Then Ādi. Ādi means etc. So not only Brahma and Indra, but everybody from where? Divishada. Divi is Devalokam. Divishad means the one who is situated in Devalokam. Vipatyante Vishve Vidishada Madakya Divishada. So Indra and Brahma and all other people, all other devatas that are sitting in the Devaloka, they are vibhadyante. They are all perishing at the time of Mahasamharesme. Even after having Sudha, even after savoring the Amritam, they're all perishing. That was the first half. Then second half says, Karalam Yachvelam Kabalitavada Kalakalana. Karalam means very terrible. Yachvelam, Shvelam means poison. Poison, we hear it is referring Kalakutam. Kabalitavada Kalakalana. Kabalitam is gobbling or swallowing. Kalakalana. Kalakalana is, it's not destroyed by Kala, by time. Na Shambho Stanmoolam. Shambho, Shiva. Stan Moolam. Moolam means the reason, the cause for that is why is Shiva not getting destroyed even after drinking the poison? He's not destroyed by time. The reason is Tava Janani Tāṭaṅka Mahimā. Tava Janani, O Divine Mother, your Tāṭaṅka Mahimā. Tāṭaṅka is earrings. Her earrings are actually sun and the moon. So that glory of that earring is the reason why your consort Shiva is eternal. Even after drinking the poison, he's not perishing. And while all other Devatas and Brahma are drinking Sudha, Amritam, which is supposed to give the immortality, yet they are perishing at the time of Pralayam, but your husband is not, right? So it is your Mahimā. So it is again establishing the glory of Devi. Devi Bhakti is what the content of this is. And here there is a lot of things for us to unpack. Again, the surface level meaning is one thing, but then when we go into deeper layer, that is where we will see what does these all mean. So here to summarize the verse, O Divine Mother, even after savoring the nectar Amrita that grants protection against the terrifying aspect of aging and final death, Mrityu, Brahmā, Indra and all other deities meet their end during the great dissolution, Mahā Pralaya Samyam. Yet Shiva, your consort, remains unscathed after ingesting the fearsome poison Kalakuta or Halahala. The sole reason for this lies in the magnificence of your ear ornaments, which are actually sun and the moon. Tāṭaṅka Yugali Bhuta Tapanotupa Mandala. In Lalita Sahasranama says that her Tāṭaṅka is Tapana and Udupa, which is the sun and the moon are the ornaments. So he is eternal because time is under her control. So sun and the moon are the ones that is deciding kalam for us, right? Because the sun is rising and sun is setting, we have 24 hours. And then the earth going around the sun, we have the year and all that thing. So the time is there because the sun and the moon are there. Now, if Devi is the one who is controlling the sun and moon, then Devi is the one that is deciding the sun. So the time is not applicable for Shiva and Shakti. All the creations that is created by them has time, right? So because the wave appear in water. So wave has a beginning, wave has a middle, wave has an end. But the water, the underlying water, which is the Shakti and Shiva, they don't have a time, right? So the waves, which we all are, the entire universe is that wave. So that one is impacted by time. When we say universe, it includes all the devatas, Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, all the things that we have seen so far, they are already included in that universe. So they are all impacted by time, right? The time could be different, but still they are impacted. But Shiva, the eternal Shiva, is not impacted. We are that eternal Shiva is what all the scriptures are saying. That consciousness, even if we want to kill, that we cannot kill the consciousness. So this is in a poetic way, it is said that even after Shiva having poison, he didn't end, because this is again establishing Shiva's eternal nature here. So you all know the story. Maybe quickly we can touch upon the story of the Kalakuta. The story starts with Durvasa actually did the curse on the Indras, the Devatas, that they will have Jara and Nara, right? The thing is that they didn't pay attention to Durvasa and he got angry and he did the curse. And now the Indra and Devatas all started getting old. So in order to escape, they asked the Lord Vishnu. Solution was to get Amṛta. But the Amritam is not easy to get. In order to get the Amritam, you have to do the manthan of the Milky Ocean. And it's not a very easy task. So both Devas and Asura had to use their power to do the manthanam, or the churning of the ocean. And the rope was Vasuki. Vasuki is a very poisonous snake of Shiva, and churning stick was Mandara mountain. So now it started churning, and then the first thing that comes out of it, because Vasuki is right there, right? The first thing that comes out of it's the poison Kalakuta. Right now, this Kalakutam, if it spills, the entire universe is going to be destroyed. So now, what do? Everybody looked at each other, and then finally, everybody started looking at who? Shiva, right? And where is Shiva looking? Shiva is looking at Shakti, and then Shakti is like, yeah, go ahead, have at it. Only in the TV serial, you so panicky wife and then running around. No, Shakti, she knows what she is. She knows what he is. So she said, oh, okay, go ahead, have at it. And then Shiva started having the poison. But still, Shakti went, Parvati went, and then hold his kantam, the throat. Why, right? Because if she's very sure that he's eternal, so nothing will happen to Shiva, she knows for sure. But why did she still hold it? If he ingests, if he swallows, where do we all stay? Where do every universe stay? Universe is within Shiva. If he ingests, nothing will happen to Shiva, but the universe will get destroyed. So remember that the example that we used, right? The Ghatakasham, Mahakasham, the pot is in the space, right? Not the space is in the pot. So we all are in Shiva. We are in consciousness, all of us, right? So if he died outside, inside, everything is consciousness. So if he swallow or spit out the poison, in both cases, universe is going to get destroyed. So hence she hold it to keep that balance of the appearance of the universe. That's why she held it at the throat, at the Vishuddhi Chakra. Of course, these are stories, but then there are things that we need to take it from there, right? So this Samudra Manthana, what is this Samudra, right? The Samudram is the Samsaram. Samsaram is equated to the Sagaram, the ocean, because it's vast. We are all submerged in that Sagaram, right? So this Sagaram is actually the Samsaram. And when we are dealing with this life in the Samsaram, what happens is that we get Sukham and Dukkham. And Sukham and Dukkham are the Amritam and then the poison. They are showing the Amritam is the Sukham and then the poison is the Dukkham. Now, the question is that how do we handle the negativity, right? Let's say we are angry, right? If we spit out that anger, it will hurt the person who we spit it out to, right? They hurt others. Now, what happens if we suppress and if we swallow that toxic emotion? It will poison our mental and health and peace, right? So we cannot disturb inside, we cannot disturb outside. Shakti holding his kantam, throat, to hold it at the middle, it's showing that middle path. Through Shraddha, we can observe that reaction, we can isolate that reaction, we can neutralize that reaction. And Shakti will help us that. So this is just a pictorial representation of how we should be dealing with the Sukham and Dukkham. But Dukkham is the one that is more severe for us because nobody complains about Sukham, right? So Dukkham is the one that we all, or the anger or the negative emotions are the one that we all care about or we have to get rid of. So that is where Shakti will help us in that path. So we have to go beyond those emotions. We cannot spit it out. We cannot suppress it. So that is that holding the throat shows that. Hold it, neutralize it, isolate it, right? And that is done by observing our reaction, observing our mind, observing our behavior. Slowly, we can clean it up. So now another thing is that about if you run after Amritam, you will get it, right? Because it is saying that Brahmā and Devadas had the Amritam, yet they are ending. But then Shiva had the poison, but he is still eternal. So another moral of the story is that if you run after the Amritam, you will get it. You will get the happiness of all these material things that we are running after. We will get it, right? If we really work hard for it, we will get that thing that we are looking for, and the happiness also arrives. But that happiness is not everlasting. Anything, material thing that you get, or any relationships, any outside, the worldly thing that we receive, happiness will always be there, and we are not negating that, but then that is not everlasting. That same thing that gave us happiness will become a source of sadness also later. That is also possible. So the thing is that it is not everlasting. The nectar of Amritam that we are talking here will turn into poison in the long run, because it is not everlasting. In the time of the dissolution, it will also end, right? But poison is turning into immortality for Shiva. So here it says that spiritual life is not easy, right? Looking towards you with a very critical eye and to clean us up, it's not easy. The spiritual life is really, really difficult. But if we follow that path, the immortality lies in that path. So it may look like poison. Poison here means that it's the difficulties in life, right? So that may look like a poison for us at the beginning, but that is the one that will give us immortality at the end. That is the one that will give us the enlightenment at the end. So it is another moral of using this same picture of Samudra Manthana. Now, coming to Tāṭaṅka Mahimā, different layers to it. So some of them that we have already seen, so I'll just quickly touch upon those. The first one is a cultural basis. So the culture Sumangali and Mrityunjaya. So we said that there is a poem that says that is she Sumangali because he is Mrityunjaya, or is he Mrityunjaya because she is Sumangali? So the culture in India is that Sumangali is the one who has Mangalam is the word. The Mangalam is the one who is auspicious. So after marriage, she wears all the jewelry, everything. But when the husband passes, the culture has been that they will remove all the jewelry, right? Here, she has the jewelry as sun and the moon, and she is Sumangali, right? She knows for sure that sun and the moon, because she created it, they are under her governance. So she will never have to remove that, which means that her husband will always live. Because in our culture, when the husband passes, it's when the jewelries are removed. Now the presence of the jewelry forever means husband is always staying forever, right? So that is the kind of first layer. If we look, that she is Sumangali because of her glory of her ornaments. That's why he is Mrityunjaya. That's what Shankaracharya here saying, because again, this is a Devi Stuti. The Soundarya Lahari is about Devi. Now, another aspect of this is the Pativrata. We saw in the previous, not the last verse, but the verse before, we saw the word Sati, Pativrata, the one who is devoted to her husband. And in our scriptures, we have seen that the Pativratyam is considered as a very high spiritual energy, spiritual power. And what is the advantage of it? That Pativratyam protects the husband. Husband's life is depending on that Padivratyam. So if she doesn't deviate, then that means the husband will be living forever, right? So here that has this high spiritual power. Again, not from a perspective of a morality, but from a spiritual power. The Padivrata has, or the one who is devoted to husband has that power. So you might have heard the story of Savitri and Satyavan. So when Savitri was getting married to Satyavan, Satyavan will have only 1 year to live. And then she's a very wise woman. She decided that she will be marrying only Satyavan. And then she's keeping track of time, right? So just 3 days before that 1 year ends, she knows that his time will be end in that 1 year. 3 days before, she is in extreme penance. So that day when he is to die, she went with him, right? And when the time came, he actually fell down and then he dies. Then Yamaraj comes and then said, time to take Satyavan away. So he took Satyavan away and started walking. And then Savitri is actually walking near Yamaraj. Yamaraj said, where are you going? Like, I came here to take Satyavan, but your time is not up. You can go back. Savitri said, no, I am a Pativrata. I am devoted to Satyavan, so I will walk with you as much as I can. So she started walking with Yamaraj. They started having this conversation about Dharma. Remember, Savitri is a very wise woman. So she started having those conversation with about dharma and all. And he is very pleased. Yamaraj said, okay, I will give you one boon. What do you want? Except Satyavan's life. You can ask anything. So she said, okay, father-in-law is in the forest. He's blind and he lost his kingdom. I want his eyesight back and I want his kingdom back. Tathastu. Yamaraj gave the boon. Savitri still started walking with him. So now again, the conversation continues. Yamaraj said, okay, now ask the boon again. What other boon you want? Second boon, Savitri asked that my father need to have 100 sons be born to my father. Tathastu. So that was also given. She started walking again with him and then started all these conversations. And then he again, pleased with her, said, you can ask one more boon. Except that the life of Satyavan, you can ask anything. She said, may there be 100 sons born to me. Then Yamaraj immediately said, Tathastu. And then she said, you know what? Me being a Pativrata, I can bear son with anyone. I can bear only with Satyavan. So now if your boon has to fructify, then I have to get Satyavan back. You know what? He has to. So this is the power of the Pativratya. These are all the stories to convey the message. So that is Savitri's story. So that is another aspect of it, cultural aspect of Sumangali, then Sati aspect of wife who is devoted to husband. The third is the Surya and Chandra are her ornaments that we already mentioned this. Time is in her control. So when we were talking about the column of the manifest and unmanifest are the two things that within Shiva is happening. Power of Shiva is Shakti. Shiva manifested is Shakti. Shakti unmanifest is Shiva. So they are both the same thing. And when that first spandanam comes, when she creates, the time and space and objects are in that creation. So she is outside that creation. Right? So she is the one, so the time is contained in her. Time is contained and space is contained. Objects, everything comes within her. Time doesn't impact her. So there is no end for her or her consort Shiva. So that is where it's showing that Shiva's eternal nature. We're being told the fact, the truth, that we are that eternal Shiva. We as that pure consciousness do not have an end. The appearance of the body comes and goes. Like we change the cloth when it is soiled, the body after its time's up, it changes, and then we are into the karmic theory, the law of karma, we get reborn again. If we have sanchita karma remaining, we will be getting reborn again. So in death, in our culture, death is not a thing to worry at all, right? Death of the body, it's nothing. It's because we are that eternal Atma. And that is the whole essence of this sloka, that Shiva is eternal, but it is told in that beautiful background of that Puranic story of Samudra Manthana, slowly hinting the story of Pativrata, Sumangali, all that thing are woven into this beautiful sloka to tell the story, finally telling what? Shiva is eternal and Shakti is his power, right? Because the power of Shiva is Shakti, right? So that is why her glory is the one that makes him eternal, right? So there is no end for Shiva, even though the remaining devatas have an end at the time of Pralayam. Shiva is still eternal. This is a picture that Gemini created with the sun and the moon as her earrings. There was a question, I know we touched on this last time, and I think Rohitji asked a question about the Shravanam, Mananam, Nitithyasanam. And then we were talking about Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga. So we touched upon it. And I think one of you asked the question of what is the Sadhana chatushtaya. So Sadhana chatushtaya is the gunam that we need to have before we go into Vedanta. So the pattern that we saw was that we have to prepare our mind, and that was Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga. And that will get us ready for Jnana Yoga. So here what it says that this is actually the Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga is this 4, but this here it is talking about the guna. So Viveka is discernment between what is Nityam and what is Anityam, what is eternal, what is not eternal. We know what is eternal and not eternal, right? Vairagyam is non-attachment, dispassion. We should love everybody, but that love should have non-attachment. Shatka Sampatti is 6 virtues. Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhanam. Shama is control of mind. Dhamma is control of senses. Uparati is withdrawal from distraction. Meaning, in 24 hours, we do what all things, right? Just focus on whatever is helping us in spiritually to grow. Everything else, just cut it out, right? So that is Uparati. Titiksha is the endurance of life's opposite. When we have Dukkham and Sukham, just like we said, when the Samudra Manthana, Sukham and Dukkham will come, we know that. But we endure the life's opposites with a cheerful attitude, right? Not by killing ourselves. Shraddha is the faith in scriptures and Guru. Samadhanam is the ability, the concentrate, the ability to fix the mind in self. Mumukshutvam is that burning desire for liberation. If a jitnyasu has to get into serious spiritual journey, to get into a jnani, these quality, especially that mumukshutvam, burning desire for liberation, is needed. So, and once we have all this gunam, and this gunam can be achieved by karma yoga, upasana yoga. And once we have all this gunam, that is a preparation. Once that preparation is done, we are ready for Vedanta to get that jnana. And that is 3-step method. Vedanta is Shravana, Mananam, Nitityasanam. So all these steps are before Shravana, Mananam, Nitityasanam. Sarvam Shri Jagadambika Padara Vindarpanamastu. May you all be always blessed by Devi.